This video is sponsored by boot.dev, more on them later. Pokémon Crystal is flawed. Some Pokémon are really bad, some Pokémon have poor availability, Team Rocket is a joke, the game's level scaling is atrocious, it's littered with bugs, and there is a severe lack of dudes who laugh like Goofy. Despite all these imperfections, there is still a good game buried deep within Pokémon Crystal's core. If those issues could just be fixed, we would have something special on our hands. We would have Pokémon Crystal Legacy, a project by the Smith Plays that aims to fix the original game's flaws while adding a fresh coat of paint and polish. Buffed Pokemon, better gym leaders, better Team Rocket, more balanced level curve, quality of life improvements, and yes, a guy who laughs like, wait, what do you mean this guy was already in the original Crystal? I'm gonna be attempting a Hardcore Nuzlocke challenge in Crystal Legacy, which means if any of my Pokemon faint, they'll be considered dead forever. And I'll be using level caps, aka matching the level of each gym leader's strongest Pokemon. The rest of the rules are on screen and in the description. Now, there's someone very special I'd like you all to meet. Malachite the Chikorita. I couldn't pass up the opportunity to use a Chikorita line in a game where the devs aren't actively praying for its suffering, even though I'm usually a Team Cyndaquil guy. And our little green buddy performed quite well throughout the early game, as we obliterated our rival, caught a glimpse of Cherry Grove's famous fat guy on the rocks, and had our first encounter of the run on Route 29, Sentret, who Malachite promptly turned into a fine red mist. Thanks for the critical hit, buddy. Fortunately, the rest of our new party members didn't suffer the same fate as that poor Sentret. Those additions were Citrine the Geodude, Garnet the Zubat, Quartz the Rattata, Amethyst the Ghastly, and a useless bug. Of this group, Citrine the Geodude's been a standout, walling all the early game normal types, and Garnet the Zubat has been a total beast, sweeping the elderly with minimal effort. Thus, I would like to anoint Garnet the current undisputed MVP of this Crystal Legacy challenge. I expect him to hold on to this title for a very long time. On to Bird Boy. Like all gym leaders in Crystal Legacy, Falkner has received a significant overhaul to his team, replacing his illegal Pidgeotto with a much bulkier, similarly illegal Noctowl. But we have a tried and trusted ace up our sleeve to kill two birds with one stone, a rat. Yeah, Geodude doesn't get a rock type move before the first gym's level cap of 10, plus Rattata's got the speed and power to go mano a mano against Falkner's lead Pidgey. The rat and the bird trade quick attacks for 2 consecutive turns, but when Quartz drops low, his held berry triggers, restoring a bit of HP. Quartz finally KOs Pidgey the following turn, inviting in Falkner's ace, Noctowl. Quartz begins wagging his tail to lower Noctowl's defenses and gets off 2 of them tail whips before his health drops into the red, necessitating a switch to Ghastly. Amethyst doesn't actually have any damaging moves to harm Noctowl, but she does have Hypnosis to put the bird to sleep and let Garnet the Zubat enter the battle scot-free. Unfortunately, Noctowl awakens the very next turn and growls, diminishing the power of Garnet's incoming gust. Noctowl then begins pecking away at Garnet, while our valiant Bat tries his hardest to match his foe's damage output. They're neck and neck, but Garnet's gonna need a little something extra to push him over the edge. How about a crit? Garnet doesn't KO Noctowl though, and our foe's held berry brings it back into the yellow. However, Garnet also has a berry of his own that ultimately proves to be the difference in this war of attrition. Noctowl eventually falls, netting us our first gym badge. I did say Garnet would hold on to the title of Crystal Legacy MVP for a long time, but I actually meant that in terms of rat years, so for his role in subjugating Pidgey and debuffing Noctowl, I'm gonna have to transfer the title belt over to Quartz the Rattata, which I expect him to hold on to for a very long time. Like a skill. Though it ain't easy to pick up new skills. Just take computer programming for example. Learning how to code can be expensive, time-consuming, or even worse, boring. But it doesn't have to be that way, not when you have this video's sponsor, boot.dev. Boot.dev is an online learning platform that'll teach you how to code in a smart and engaging way by presenting it like a role-playing game. You'll earn XP, complete quests, and slay mighty bosses, all while completing professionally designed lessons created by real programmers and gamers at heart. There are so many courses to choose from. You can learn key programming languages like Python, SQL, and JavaScript. You can even learn how to build a Pokédex and put Professor Oak out of a job. And don't worry if you get stuck at any point. I myself got stumped while learning Python, but I had multiple ways to get help, like the Wise Bear, who has been specially trained to provide programming assistance. He won't straight up give you the answers, but he will nudge you in the right direction. So if you're ready to learn to code for real, then sign up for boot.dev using my code TOADSLAME or by scanning the QR code on screen to get 25% off your first year. Don't worry if you're still unsure, every course on boot.dev has a free demo so you can get a feel for things before you decide to commit. Thank you once again to boot.dev for sponsoring, and now know, let's add some more fellas to the roster. I've got enough Pokemon now to field a baseball team, so from this point on, I won't be spotlighting every Pokemon I catch. Just the best and most relevant of the bunch. Seriously, this video is already long enough, I can't waste more time on guys who won't be making significant contributions. Like, do you seriously think that Amber the Ladybug, with her dreadful early game performance and lackluster prospects beyond that even after getting buffed, deserves a shout out? Of course not. Say hello to obscurity for me, Amber. Two new additions who will see the field, however, are Limestone the Mareep, who will contribute soon, trust me, and Morganite the Slowpoke, a pink Nuzlocke terrorist who I'll also get to in due time. Trust me.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
Kurt takes a spill trying to save the Slowpoke, so it's up to me to liberate the well. Now let's me meet this rocket grunt, the aforementioned guy who laughs like Goofy. His name is Eto. He has a significantly better team than his peers, which is actually saying a lot as Crystal Legacy buffed every Team Rocket member's teams, and also added some story changes I don't really like, but I'll get to that later. After evolving Malachite into Bayleaf and expelling Team Rocket from the Slowpoke well, like my booty the day after eating chicken tikka masala, it's off to Azalea Town and a second gym. Bugsy already had an amazing ace in Scyther, but Crystal Legacy replaced Bugsy's two traffic cones with actual moving threats in Pineco and Ledian. Unfortunately for those bugs, their natural predator has come to play, and it's not bug spray, or a windshield, or the front of a truck, or the rising average temperature of the planet. It's Johto, I'm talking about Citrine, who is so excited to show off her new rock type move that she misses her first rock throw and allows Pineco to use Harden, causing her second rock throw to deal reduced damage. Splendid. Pineco's two hits of Pin Missile don't do much, however, and Citrine sends her foe's health bar into the red. But then Pineco reveals it has Mega Drain, sending Citrine into the red as well, while bringing its own health back into the yellow. Why Pineco didn't just go for the 4 times effective attack at the start of the battle, I don't know. But Citrine can right her wrongs by finally KOing Pineco. Then tank 3 Comet Punches for a measly 3 total damage before one-shotting Ledian with Rock Throw. Alright, it took a bit of time, but Citrine's finally got the ball rolling. All that remains is Bugsy's ace Scyther, but Citrine has the bulk to tank 1 hit at minimum and threaten another one-shot. Unless, of course, that one hit from Scyther is a critical hit. Sorry, Citrine, our time with you was short, but it was still invaluable regardless. Now let's watch Garnet the Zubat get this Scyther a swirly. For some inexplicable reason, Scyther sees fit to spam Fury Cutter, which Garnet resists so hard that he only takes 1 point of damage per hit. Thus, Garnet can just hit Scyther with Supersonic and turn the Praying Mantis into his prey, though he can't yet kill with Gust, and most of the damage from said Gust is healed off by Scyther's held berry. Scyther briefly ignores its confusion to deliver the sharpest tickle ever, but Garnet is understandably unfazed and crits Scyther with Gust to knock its HP into the red, then shrugs off 1 more Fury Cutter before burying Scyther and claim our second gym badge and, more importantly, the MVP title belt. I mean, who else would it go to? Garnet's only other competition is unavailable forever. Well, if it isn't my favorite punching bag. In Vanilla Crystal, the rival was certainly a trainer, and while he has received a significant overhaul in Crystal Legacy, he's still not yet at a point where his battles are worth getting into. So, for the time being, the boy known as Triple Question Marks serves mainly as a scrub quotes dispenser and an excuse for me to finally talk about this terrorist. This is Morganite the Slowpoke. He's pink, he hails from Slowpoke Well, and he exists solely to sow inconvenience. Not sow chaos, no, nothing on that scale. Just minor annoyances that add up to make you wonder how someone's super effective water gun could only do 30% to a Quilava, as well as wonder how someone could show up with the exact opposite DVs a Slowpoke would need. How else is he gonna inconvenience us, either by his own means or through sheer divine misfortune? Who knows, just keep an eye on this troublemaker throughout the run and you'll find out eventually. It's what Morganite wants. On a more positive note, several key contributors and challengers for the MVP title belt would burst onto the scene during the Azalea Goldenrod stretch. First was Lapis the Heracross, acquired by headbutting trees in Azalea Town. Lapis unfortunately does not learn a fighting type move in time for the Whitney fight, but she will still play a crucial role in that upcoming showdown. Second is Heliodor the Abra, who can immediately evolve into Kadabra. Shoutouts to Amethyst and her mean look for ensuring this top tier psychic couldn't teleport away from us. Third and finally, there's Titanite the baby Elekid, who hatched from the egg given to us by the daycare couple on Route 34. Several different baby Pokemon could have popped out of this egg, and while I was initially hoping it would be Tyrogue, Elekid's a solid consolation prize, especially since it comes with Dizzy Punch as an egg move. Alright, onto normal type Satan. Whitney's got an infamous rep among the Pokemon community, and she's even better in Crystal Legacy. Her Miltank is as terrifying as ever, and now she's got a buffed Clefairy and brand new Teddiursa to play with. To handle this powered up white girl, we're gonna need someone capable of tanking physical hits, who isn't dead and does not fear Ice Punch or Headbutt. Maybe I should have picked different criteria. As pitiful as his water gun is, Morganite still has some things going for him, namely Curse. After Clefairy's charm fails for reasons only Morganite would know, our pink terror friend gets off his first of many curses, boosting his attack and defense at the cost of lowering his insignificant speed. We're gonna need a couple of curse boosts before Morganite can do anything, which makes Clefairy's crit headbutt all the more inconvenient. Morganite stays firm and goes for a second curse. Clefairy then decides to go gambling and uses Metronome, which randomly selects Ancient Power. Thankfully, Clefairy did not get an Omni boost, nor did it deal much damage, allowing Morganite to get off a third curse boost and finally begin his onslaught. Oh my god. Clefairy's Metronome randomly selected Psych Up, a move that copies the stat changes of the opposing Pokemon. Not only does Clefairy now have +3 attack and defense as well, essentially nullifying Morganite's stat boost, but Morganite's best course of action here is actually to not click Water Gun because his headbutt still does more damage in this scenario. I've never seen someone create petty inconveniences while inviting ridicule towards themselves as effectively as you have, Morganite. You should get into streaming. Clefairy and Morganite trade headbutts, during which Morganite has to consume his berry for sustenance. Clefairy then goes for Metronome again, but this time picks Low Kick, which does next to nothing as Morganite can finally dispatch Clefairy. Unfortunately, Whitney's Teddiursa has Lick to knock Morganite's HP into the red, and he promptly failed to one-shot the teddy bear, signaling his departure from this fight. Thank you for your contributions, Morganite. In comes the far more reliable Malachite, who does not care that he just got licked on the cheek by a teddy bear because he healed some of that damage off by KOing Teddiursa with Mega Drain. That just leaves the cow. Miltank immediately goes for a rollout, giving Malachite ample time to sprinkle some Leech Seeds, get up a Reflect, do his taxes, and prolong the back and forth by healing up with Mega Drain. But even as Miltank's HP falls, its rollout damage slowly ramps up and up and up until it becomes unmanageable. Miltank's 5th rollout is up next and will 100% KO Malachite even through Reflect, as well as most of the rest of our squad. Well, except for one Pokemon. I did say she was gonna play a big part in this fight, right? Lapis can survive Miltank's 5th rollout with just 13 HP remaining and recover some more HP through Leech Seed and her held berry. Miltank then begins spamming Milk Drink to prolong its life, but through a combination of resilience, residual Leech Seed damage, and Lapis being the new MVP of the run, we're eventually able to tip over the cow and snag our 3rd gym badge. That's right, Lapis is the MVP, not you, Morganite. You can't even threaten a Vulpix. Would anyone else like to challenge Lapis's claim as a new title belt holder? Huh? Anyone? Garnet is back, not that he ever really left. Garnet not only evolved at level 22, but then immediately evolved into Crobat at the very next level. What can I say? My Pokemon love me, and I love them all back equally, depending on your definition of equality. I also added several new Pokemon to the party, including Sudowoodo on Route 36, and not Tauros on Route 38, because I wasted 11 of my Great Balls and a Fastball, and I ended up running out of Pokeballs, and thus had to KO the bull. Honestly, I was all too eager to do that. Screw you, Tauros. I don't need you. I have Ruby the Slugma. Our rival returned for another bout at the Burned Tower, but once again, he wasn't much of an issue. He does have a Larvitar now, but Malachite ate it up for dinner. Let's talk about Morty and his new Crystal Legacy team. It's pretty solid and thematic of ghost types and Ecruteak City as a whole. I don't have much to say about it. Anyway, here's one of his gym trainers and the write-up they had in the Crystal Legacy documentation. I don't think that's thematic to ghosts, but what do I know?
Pokemon Crystal Legacy makes me gassy.
Before the gym battle, several team mainstays would evolve. Quartz into Eradicate, Amethyst into Haunter. None of these guys would contribute to the Morty fight, because Garnet the Crobat waltzed into a Ecruteak gym and proceeded to rub his Honey Nut Cheerio flavored all over Morty's ghosts. Garnet one-shot Haunter with Bite, then put on a clinic against Stantler, hitting it with Confuse Ray, watching the deer hit itself, then dodging Hypnosis before sinking Stantler with Wing Attack. Garnet then bit into Misdreavus so hard it flinched and couldn't do anything else, then did the exact same thing to Gengar, thus stealing a flawless, no damage taken sweep of the 4th gym.
Anything's possible!
punctuated by a wildly unnecessary but nevertheless appreciated critical hit. Yeah, that MVP belt belongs to Garnet, so hard he's currently filing the paperwork to adopt it. We have reached Johto's famous route split, where the player can choose to fight either Chuck and Jasmine or Price first. However you choose, it always leads to the same result. But not in Crystal Legacy, where a newly implemented system alters Chuck, Price, and Jasmine's teams depending on when you decide to fight them. For example, if you fight Chuck as the 5th gym leader, he'll only have 4 Pokemon, but if you decide to fight him as the 6th or 7th gym leader, his team will be higher leveled and include a pincer. After much consideration, I chose to battle Chuck next, so I headed to Cianwood. I should probably address who this is. The person calling me is Wade, a bug catcher located on Route 31. We exchanged phone numbers a while back, and he won't stop calling me, usually just to complain about Pokemon that got away from him or other random useless stuff. He is gonna be a regular character from now on. I didn't get to add one of these beached starfish to my team, but I did acquire a bunch of guys from the water. More on them later. For now, Garnet's place atop the mountain is looking to remain untouched. Titanite the Elekid has really begun making a name for himself, playing an instrumental role in our victory over Mystery Man Eugene, and evolving into Electabuzz right after the battle. He's gonna make some noise real soon, I can feel it. And combined with the consistently excellent contributions of Malachite, Lapis, and Amethyst, there are many contestants making a strong case to snatch Garnet's crown. Belt. Even Morganite's learned a new, better water-type move. He still can't one-shot a Vulpix though. Now let's finally face Big Man Chuck and his big arsenal of fighting types. Look at how the big fella chucks that boulder. What a shooting form. Chuck, are you interested in playing center for the Toronto Raptors? Our 5th gym battle begins with the reigning MVP missing a one-hit KO. Fortunately, the opposing Hitmontop just responds with a weak pursuit, allowing Garnet to rectify his blunder the following turn. But Chuck sends out a Sudowoodo next, necessitating a switch to Malachite. Our Leaf Dino takes a big shot from Sudowoodo's rock slide, so he gets up a Reflect to soften further physical hits. But then, the enemy AI does something different. It recognizes the bad type matchup and switches Sudowoodo out for Primeape, who has Ice Punch. That's an actual heads-up play I could see happening in a real player versus player battle. Primeape even got a crit. Too bad it was against Morganite, who swapped in and responded with a strong side beam to put us in pole position to snag a crucial KO the following turn. You cannot be serious. Morganite was hit by a second Ice Punch and got frozen. He did not break free even after 3 turns, by which time Reflect ended and his health had fallen low enough that he had to switch out. What does this guy even do? In comes Heliodor the Kadabra to solve this conundrum. He shrugs off a Karate Chop before scrambling Primate's brains with Psybeam. See how easy that was, Morganite? Sudowoodo returns to the arena, so Malachite does as well on a soft feint attack. He gets up a new Reflect to lessen the sting of an incoming Rock Slide, then connects with Mega Drain for big damage. Though another Sudowoodo Rock Slide undoes most of Malachite's healing. But as long as he doesn't get crit, Malachite's got this one in the bag. Or Malachite could score his own critical hit, downing Sudowoodo and draining enough HP to get back above half health. But his celebration is cut short because after sprinkling some Leech Seeds on Poliwrath, Malachite gets put to sleep by hypnosis. That's Garnet's cue to enter the fray, but Poliwrath, with no fear, no hesitation, throws out a raw dynamic punch. It doesn't do much damage, but it does inflict confusion. Oh, and our Reflect ended that turn too. It would be wise to switch here, but Garnet is also in no immediate danger, so why not let the current MVP of the run try his luck on the confusion roulette. Garnet, the GOAT, ignores confusion and completes the 5th gym battle in style. That MVP belt's not going anywhere else anytime soon. Just don't look at the types of the next few gym leaders. I decided to face Jasmine next, which means she'll be fielding a team that includes 2 Steel-type aces. I evolved longtime staple Malachite into Meganium, then evolved short-time benchwarmer Ruby into Macargo. She'll finally be getting a spin in this next gym battle, as will... Back on Route 40, I caught a Shuckle named Iolite. At the time, I didn't think he'd be able to contribute much, but then I learned that the Cianwood Pharmacy now stocks Evolution Stones. 1 Water Stone later, I had a brand new Cloyster on my hands, who would soon flourish into one of our team's very best. But it was Titanite the Electabuzz who led off versus Jasmine, clipping Skarmory's wings with Thunder Punch before hightailing it out of there the moment Steelix showed up. That's Iolite's cue, and he tanked an Earthquake like a champ before drowning Steelix with a single Surf. Next up is Corsola, a cute addition to Jasmine's balanced team that makes sense given Olivine's a port city, but who is also incapable of stopping Iolite from setting up spikes. I tried making Iolite set up a second layer of spikes, only to remember that isn't a thing until Generation 3. Pokemon Master here, I tell ya. With his work done, Iolite bows out for Malachite on a soft surf. Malachite promptly one-shots Corsola with Giga Drain, then flees in terror at the sight of Scizor, letting Ruby the Macargo get her first significant minutes of the game. Scizor is holding a focus band to potentially allow it to survive a one-hit KO, but remember, spikes. That small bit of spikes damage nullified focus band, allowing Ruby to incinerate the bug steel type with flamethrower and without a care in the world. That just leaves Magneton, who tries giving Titanite a seizure via thunder, but he just tightens his fists and unleashes back-to-back fire punches to secure us the win and gym badge number 6. I think it's finally time to transfer that MVP belt to someone else, especially since Garnet didn't do much of anything against Jasmine. Now this may be controversial, but I think for his consistent contributions since the run's very beginning, Malachite the Meganium deserves to wear the belt. Congratulations, buddy. More Pokemon for the ever-growing roster, like the Red Gyarados, who I am not gonna use at all during this entire run. Lance has a mysterious new boyfriend who accompanies him to the Lake of Rage, and who even takes over the vital task of blasting the suspicious shopkeeper with Hyper Beam. But the mystery man departs soon after, leaving the raid of Team Rocket's HQ to Lance and me. Even with their buffed teams though, fighting Team Rocket still feels like a chore. I was sleepwalking through these battles, which, as you all know, is the perfect opportunity for disaster to strike. I'm not sure what I expected leaving a physically feral Pokemon like Kadabra in against the CEO of blowing themselves up, but it doesn't matter now. With Heliodor's passing, only one Psychic type remains on our roster. Guys, Eto is back, but he and all the Team Rocket admins are no match for us because while Crystal Legacy fixed the majority of the level scaling issues, it did not account for me coming to the Rocket HQ with a 6th gym badge team. On to the 7th. Price is a gym leader that exists and shouldn't be a problem given the makeup of our squad. Titanite the Electabuzz leads off again, setting up a light screen while Cloyster makes it rain. Then Titanite 1 taps the bivalve with Thunder Punch, inviting in Piloswine, and in turn, Garnet. But he's only here to nullify an Earthquake because Garnet soon taps out for Morganite. I have been very hard on this pink blob, but he has been significantly better since evolving. So here's to the start of Morganite's redemption arc.
Combo.
The block of ice formerly known as Morganite is pushed to the side for Malachite, who eats an Earthquake on the switch-in shortly before the rain and light screen end. Now Malachite is not guaranteed a KO here with Giga Drain, but he does have enough HP to survive one Piloswine Blizzard. Not like we can do much else here. Garnet would instantly faint to Blizzard, Ruby would get outsped and killed by Earthquake the following turn, Titanite wouldn't be able to one-hit KO and thus would fall to a single Earthquake, Lapis is needed later in the fight and can't risk being frozen, and Morganite is currently Bing chilling, so keeping Malachite out on the field is our best overall option. Malachite thus goes for Giga Drain, misses the KO as expected, and tanks a Blizzard, hanging on with 0 HP remaining. I can't believe Piloswine crit twice in the same fight. And we didn't just lose some random, we lost our starter, our buffed Meganium, who is gonna Leech Seed and reflect his way to the Pokemon League. But now Malachite will be arriving in Kanto in a casket. Titanite storms the field and eviscerates what remains of Piloswine, then leaves Sneasel gasping for air after a brutal fire punch. Sneasel's reflect does nothing to stop Titanite's revenge-fueled rampage, while Jinx gets battered and burned. The Ice Psychic type does survive and attempts to fight back, but probably gets turned into a pile of ash. That just leaves Dugong, and although it survives one Thunder Punch and hits back decently hard, it's ultimately powerless to stop Titanite from splattering its remains across the wall and securing us gym badge number 7. His new MVP title belt may have been earned in blood, but it was earned his way. Oh, would you look at the time? Team Rocket's taken over the radio tower broadcast in hopes of luring back their missing leader, and maybe also using 5G waves to enslave all the Pokemon, but that's secondary to simping for Giovanni. So we gotta haul our butts to Goldenrod City and through several battles against Team Rocket admins. First, the one impersonating the radio tower president, an imposter, if you will. Morganite continued his path towards redemption by sweeping the majority of this fight, and although Garnet got exploded on upon entering the battle against Weezing, he lived with exactly 9 HP remaining and wrapped things up. The imposter revealed that the real president was being kept in the underground tunnel, which is also where our rival showed up again. And again, he's not really worth getting into. Iolite and Titanite made sure of that. Eto made his third and final appearance in the underground as well. He didn't really do much to affect the story in the grand scheme of things, which makes me wonder what the point was to even naming this grunt in the first place. We then rescued the real radio tower president and received a key card that allowed us to reach the uppermost floor of the tower to confront Team Rocket's two strongest admins. First was Ariana, whose lead Arbok got crit and one-shot by Morganite, so you can probably guess how the rest of the fight went from there. The second Rocket admin was Archer. This was a significantly more interesting fight that included Titanite claiming 2 kills and Ruby the Macargo standing toe-to-toe with Houndoom, but I'm still gonna skim past it because I really want to highlight what happened after the fight. Remember Lance's mysterious accomplice back in Mahogany Town? Well, he's made his way over to the radio tower and has revealed himself to actually be Giovanni. He's not here to reclaim his position atop Team Rocket, however. He's here to berate Archer for the current state of his once proud organization. A group that once owned the streets and strutted around like they knew it, now hides in the shadows like a bunch of sewer rats struggling to survive. In Giovanni's eyes, this is not a Team Rocket worth returning to, and after making that clear, he departs in a huff, never to be seen again. I do not like this change, to be honest. In the original games, Giovanni never appeared despite Team Rocket's radio broadcast, and that was the message in and of itself. He didn't see the new Team Rocket as worthy, so he didn't bother wasting his time even acknowledging them. So having him show up and explicitly express that sentiment, I don't know, it kind of feels like spelling out what didn't need to be said. Maybe I just feel this way because this iteration of Giovanni reminds me of Colonel Sanders trashing the quality of KFC after he sold his stake in the company. Anyway, Team Rocket folds for good, the real director gives us the clear bell as thanks for saving the region, and we embark for the Tin Tower. Does this guy have no friends? When we witness this old man's unreal lateral quickness. Hey dude, by any chance could you play center for the Detroit Lions? 3 wise old men challenge us to see if we're worthy of accessing the Tin Tower, and they proceeded to take belt to from Garnet. It cannot be stated how badly he whooped those old geezers. Amethyst finally evolved into Gengar at level 42. Thank you for that change, Crystal Legacy. Just in time to face the mascot of the game, Suicune. This powerful, intimidating, legendary Pokemon ended up getting captured in just a few Great Balls. I hereby bestow this Suicune the name of Turquoise.
You're my new best friend.
With Team Rocket disbanded and Suicune safely stored in my PC-shaped belly, we can ignore this guy's phone calls, and also pass through Ice Path. This is an opportunity to once again mention to you all that I got stuck in this place for several days as a kid. I was a very bright kid. Finally, we arrive at Blackthorn City for our 8th and final Johto gym battle against Claire and her team of seafaring dragons. Blackthorn City is also home to a valuable new feature introduced in Crystal Legacy, a move reminder that'll help us remember previously forgotten moves. Dude, go away! Our 8th gym battle begins with Iolite deleting Claire's first Dragonair with a Never Melt Ice boosted Ice Beam. Gyarados comes out next, so I switched to Titanite on a weak Twister before one-shotting that thing too, inviting in Claire's second Dragonair. I switch back to Iolite, but Dragonair clicks Thunder Wave, only for Iolite's held Miracle Berry to cure the status condition. Shoutouts to the Goldenrod Flower Shop for that. Iolite experiences Deja Vu as he one-shots Dragonair number 2, then hands the reins back to Titanite. Lapras's Surf can't even take our yellow companion into the yellow, allowing Titanite to crit with Thunderbolt and send Lapras into the afterlife. Say hi to Malachite and friends for me. That just leaves Claire's infamous Kingdra. We don't have any moves to hit this thing super effectively, but we do have Amethyst, who effortlessly switches in on Kingdra's Surf thanks to the light screen Titanite set up the previous turn, then puts Kingdra to sleep with Hypnosis, before bludgeoning it with Shadow Ball. Kingdra stays asleep for the rest of the battle, meaning Amethyst can keep clicking Shadow Ball until eventually netting us our final Johto Gym badge and the opportunity to hear Johto's best musical arrangement. Oh yeah, that shit hurt! Oh, by the way, Amethyst is the MVP now for that display against Kingdra and helping us catch Suicune earlier. Morganite helps us climb a waterfall the only way he ever could. badly before we arrive at Victory Road to confront our rival one last time. Triple Question Marks has been busy getting his butt kicked left and right by us, Lance, and probably every other trainer in the region, so he's finally begun to see the error of his ways. Turns out berating and abusing your Pokemon isn't the recipe for success. Love and compassion are what will win you battles and grant you a sense of purpose and accomplishment. And also a Tyranitar. Yeah, upon realizing that friendship is indeed magic, our rival's Pupitar evolved into Tyranitar right before his eyes. At an earlier level than expected, no less. Chalk that up to the power of friendship, or Team Rocket's 5G shenanigans. It's not really explained. Triple Question Marks does have a pretty formidable team on paper, but it did not hold up in practice. Lapis the Heracross began the battle by smashing through Ursaring, and it was smooth sailing from there. Iolite shot down Golbat, Titanite stunned Octillery, Lapis shattered Tyranitar into a billion pieces, Morganite actually did something for once, sending Typhlosion packing with a critical hit, and Garnet totally walled Victory Bell. Your buffed team was fun to fight, Triple Question Marks, but at the end of the day, you're still just an enigma not worth solving. I would like to know why the power of friendship altered your lexicon to that of a middle-aged white man, however. Let's go over the 6 Pokemon I'll be taking into the Johto League. First up is Garnet the Crobat. The former undisputed MVP has taken a bit of a back seat since around the 6th gym, but he's back to reclaim his crown against the Elite Four, as he'll be a crucial piece in the Koga, Karen, and especially Bruno fights. You could say Garnet here is our ticket to victory, our big ticket. Morganite is a Pokemon that exists. Okay, he has been a lot better since evolving into Slowbro, as long as you ignore his propensity for getting frozen, so get used to looking at his stupid face. On a team brimming with standout superstars, Lapis the Heracross has been more low-key with her contributions, mostly against random trainers, but now she'll be tasked with smacking Will and Karen around, using her strong bug and fighting type attacks. The Swiss Army knife known as Titanite the Electabuzz has made a strong case for permanent possession of the MVP belt, thanks to his high speed and the fact that all 4 of his moves have gotten extensive usage. His role will be to set up light screen and zap anything that swims or soars, the latter being especially important as Champion Lance is essentially a flying type trainer in this game. Iolite the Cloyster has been a rock solid contributor with his bulk, good speed, and great water and ice type damage output. He'll likely get his mitts on the MVP title belt sometime soon. And for our 6th and final roster spot, it's going to someone iconic, someone experienced, and with an established pedigree and history of winning. Just kidding, it's Rhydon. Obsidian the Rhydon is the latest member of the team, having joined in Victory Road. She earned the final spot on our Elite Four Extermination Squad because she has Stab Earthquake, and that is about it. And that is the team of 6 who will be taking on the final gauntlet. I gotta say, this is one of the finest teams I've ever assembled. After all, they completely pantsed the Crystal Legacy Elite Four. Lapis had a Silver Powder, Mega Horn, and a bone to pick with the Masked Man, as she swept Will's entire team with Mega Horn. Espeon did get up a Reflect at one point, but Lapis one-tapped it anyway and didn't even break a sweat, tanking Slowbro's Psychic before two-shotting it and securing the dub. Honestly, the real MVP of this fight was probably the PP up I used to give Lapis 6 Mega Horns to work with, so the belt goes to the PP up. Koga was just as much of a cakewalk. Garnet obliterated Ariados in a single hit, Titanite ran all over Quillfish, then Obsidian took the wheel for the rest of the battle and steered us to victory. Shout out in particular to Obsidian's clutch crit Rock Slide to one-shot Venomoth, and her ignoring Crobat's double team to seal the win. Despite being a newcomer, Obsidian still deserves to hold that MVP title belt. I wasn't lying when I said that Garnet was back to claim his crown. Although Morganite had to come in at one point to handle Steelix, the rest of the Bruno battle was all Garnet. He KO'd Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, and Heracross with a single Sharp Beak boosted fly each, and although he failed to one-shot Machamp, our foe's Rock Slide did far less than expected, meaning Garnet could barf Sludge and secure us the win. Welcome back to the Apex, Garnet. Now for something a bit more tricky. Not at first, as Lapis easily put away Karen's Umbreon with a single Mega Horn, but then Gengar hit the field and put Lapis to sleep before she could click Earthquake. That forced me to bring in Garnet, who was unaffected by Gengar's Stream Eater, but after landing a meaty bite, Garnet was hit by Confuse Ray. This ain't the first time Garnet's had to fight through confusion to secure an important KO, but the stakes are much higher this time, and this fight would get a whole lot more complicated if Garnet failed to break through confusion. But he does, because he's Garnet. Gengar goes down to a second bite, bringing bringing in Murkrow, but Iolite tags in and stands firm against 2 Drill Pecks before claiming 2 kills against Murkrow and Vileplume. And that just leaves Houndoom, whom Obsidian can switch into, tank a Flamethrower, tank an Iron Tail, and obliterate with Earthquake for ultimate victory. I actually forgot to level to the cap for the Karen fight, but it didn't really end up mattering, huh? There's just one last obstacle standing between us and the Hall of Fame, the champion of the Johto League, Lance. His already formidable team has arguably gotten even more fearsome because, wait, did he just say Zapdos? Yeah, Lance now has a legendary Pokemon on his roster, but it didn't end up mattering one bit because Titanite, the Electabuzz, executed his masterpiece in this battle. He began by one-shotting Gyarados with Thunderbolt, then ate an extreme speed from Dragonite number 1 before deleting it with a single Ice Punch. The legendary Zapdos came out to play and survived an Ice Punch, but when I went for Thunder Wave, it was completely nullified by Titanite's held Miracle Berry. Thus, Titanite could let out another Ice Punch to down the legendary bird with ease. From there, it was essentially cleanup duty. Titanite cooked Aerodactyl with Thunderbolt, one-tapped Dragonite number 2 with Ice Punch, and toppled Charizard with one last Thunderbolt to complete a glorious sweep. The journey isn't over yet, there's still the Kanto leg of the game to get through. Yay, more work for me. Listen, this video is already on pace to be the longest in channel history, so you're gonna have to forgive me for speeding through Kanto, even though all the Kanto gym leaders in Crystal Legacy have received vastly improved teams that make them an actual challenge now. But still, cut me some slack, this video script was 26 pages long. Even in Kanto, I can't escape this guy. Before taking on a single Kanto gym leader, I made sure to complete the Power Plant side quest to get access to the region's radio. That way, I could awaken the Snorlax outside Diglett's cave and snag a Diglett inside said cave to evolve into Dugtrio. His name is Diaspor, named after the mineral used in jewelry, and not to be confused with the similar sounding word Diaspora, which has a completely different meaning I was unaware of. Anyway, after Lieutenant Surge's Electrode wasted its opening turn setting up Rain Dance, Diaspor proceeded to effortlessly sweep Surge's entire team by mashing the Earthquake button 6 times in a row. Diaspor is going to be one of the strongest MVP contenders in Kanto, which makes me feel kind of bad for what I did for his party icon. Sorry, I didn't know what else to do with him. If Lieutenant Surge was a cakewalk, then Erica was another cakewalk. I walked on 2 cakes. Jumpluff's Giga Drain hit hard, but not hard enough to deter Iolite the Cloyster from completing a masterful sweep. He one-tapped Jumpluff with Ice Beam, drowned Sudowoodo with Surf, then pivoted back to Ice Beam to delete Executor, Venusaur, and Victory Bell. Blossom actually survived getting one shot, but since its only grass move was a 2-turn Solar Beam, Iolite could just finish the job next turn before Blossom could deal any damage. The title belt has thus landed in Iolite's grasp. Yes, he actually has hands, they're just very small and hard to see. Bad news, everyone. We lost a soldier. Anyway, Fluorite the Bellsprout joined the team on Route 25, and promptly evolved into Victory Bell to serve as our counter to Misty's Quagsire. But we still need someone to handle Misty's Kingdra, and I know just who to turn to. See, around the same time I acquired Iolite as a Shelder, I caught a Horsey on Route 41 named Larimar. And now, several gym badges later, it's finally time to unleash Larimar in her fully evolved final form. But it's Titanite who leads off versus Misty, deep frying Golduck with Thunderbolt, then dipping the moment Quagsire hit the field. I swapped in Fluorite the Victory Bell, but Quagsire actually made a heads-up play by using Amnesia. All grass-type moves deal special damage in Gen 2, so Amnesia will make it possible for Quagsire to survive a 4 times effective Razor Leaf. Unless, of course, Fluorite lands a critical hit, which ignores Quagsire's stat boost and rips it to shreds. Misty brings out her Kingdra and does land a devastating Ice Beam on Fluorite, but our Flycatcher hangs on and probably puts Kingdra to bed with Sleep Powder, allowing my own Kingdra to switch in for free. Larimar misses out on the one-shot with Dragon Breath, while Misty's Kingdra uses Sleep Talk and selects Rest, restoring Kingdra's health to full. How lovely. Larimar goes for another Dragon Breath, while the other Kingdra goes for another Sleep Talk, this time picking Hydro Pump, which doesn't do too much. Moments before the rain, Quagsire setup dissipated. Larimar then KO'd her doppelganger the following turn, luring in Vaporeon. Did you know? Titanite can survive an Ice Beam, and let loose a super effective Thunderbolt that fails to KO. Vaporeon rides a mean wave, but Titanite survives, eats a Gold Berry to get back into the green, and proceeds to put this battle on cruise control. He finishes off Vaporeon, paralyzes and pulverizes Lapras, then one-shot Starmie for the W. Welcome back to the MVP mountaintop, Titanite. Good news, everyone, Morganite is back. Diaspora is back too. I thought these two would be the backbone of our battle against the poison-type Kunoichi, Janine, but someone else ended up stealing the spotlight. Amethyst began by putting Weezing to sleep, then one-tapping it with Dream Eater before it could make any Destiny Bond shenanigans happen. Amethyst then tucked Tentacruel into bed and hit it hard with Dream Eater, but Tentacruel woke up the following turn and hit Amethyst with the Dum Dum Bee, necessitating a switch. In comes Pink Guy on a soft surf, then another before Morganite could finally take Tentacruel behind the woodshed and invite in Nidoqueen, who's itching to let out a Thunderbolt. That lets Diasper switch in for free on the ineffective electric attack, and for some reason Janine then chooses to switch out Nidoqueen for Venom Moth, only for the Moth to get rocked by Earthquake, then finished off the following turn without contributing much of anything. Immaculate play, Janine. But Janine's not done yet, because after I swapped out Diasper for Titanite, she decided to switch too, from Crobat to Nidoqueen. So I switched yet again, this time to Iolite, who tanked an Earthquake before finally getting rid of that Nidoqueen. Cue Muck, and in turn, Amethyst, who is about to show why she deserves the title of MVP. She had her work cut out for her at first, as Muck minimized and dodged the first Hypnosis, but even after Muck stacked up a second evasion boost, Amethyst still managed to connect with Hypnosis eventually, then ate Muck's Dream twice in a row for the 2-hit KO. Amethyst missed another Hypnosis against Crobat, eating a gnarly Pursuit in response, so she decided to eschew Sleep and just start blasting Shadow Balls. Crobat landed a Confuse Ray, but Amethyst took a page out of our own Crobat's book, not only ignoring confusion, but critting with Shadow Ball to send this battle into the history books and send the MVP title belt to Amethyst's doorstep. Something I've had to cope with throughout this run is our lack of reliable answers against psychic types. Our only dark type is Sneasel, who even despite its numerous buffs is still Sneasel, and our only ghost type is Amethyst, who has sufficed so far but will get outsped and blended into a smoothie by Sabrina's Alakazam. Man, if only we had someone with immense special bulk, someone who could hit Sabrina's frail psychic types on the physical side, someone who weighs more than your mother. Meet Pinelite the Snorlax, whom I caught back when he was blocking the way to Diglett's cave. This big Tubbalard will be our main man against Sabrina, though he won't be able to deal with her entire team. He's unfortunately too slow and thus won't be able to get off a belly drum sweep without proper support, like through, I don't know, agility, baton pass, light screen. Ledian received a massive buff in Crystal Legacy, plus 20 base HP, and also an expanded support move pool. That, combined with her innate speed and shockingly high special bulk, makes Amber the Ledian the ideal setup mon for the Sabrina gym battle. Her turn 1 safeguard blocks Mr. Mime's Thunder Wave attempt, and while Mr. Mime wins the speed tie the following turn to connect with an Ice Punch, all Ice type moves are special in Gen 2, so Amber can shrug off the super effective hit and just start spamming agility. Now this setup strategy isn't bulletproof. According to the Crystal Legacy documentation, Sabrina's Mr. Mime has Encore to potentially lock Amber into any one of her setup moves at any time. Of course I planned for this, and Amber is capable of coming in at a later point in the fight to set up if need be, but maybe because Mr. Mime simply chose not to use it, or because it got lobotomized at some point, but Mr. Mime never once clicked Encore throughout this entire fight, choosing to just keep spamming Ice Punch as Amber set up Light Screen, boosted her speed to +6, and eventually baton passed all of that to Pinelite the Snorlax with a sliver of HP to spare. I never would have guessed that Amber the Ledian could have done all that. Pinelite himself shrugged off an Ice Punch on the way in, but then our safeguard faded, leaving us susceptible to Mime's Thunder Wave yet again. Nevertheless, Pinelite used Belly Drum to half his health, maximize his attack stat, and prepare for the sweep, while Mr. Mime used Psychic. Perhaps sensing it just made a huge misplay, Mr. Mime tried going for Thunder Wave the following turn, but missed badly, not like it would have mattered because Pinelite just clicked rest to restore himself back to full health, then consumed his held Miracle Berry to cure his status condition. Now at +6 attack and speed, Pinelite's in perfect position to put this battle to pasture. He flattens Mr. Mime, Slowbro, Wobbuffet, Hypno, and Jinx with one body slam each, and after tanking Alakazam's Psychic like a champ, he unleashed one final decisive Hyper Beam to snag us the Marsh badge. Pinelite may have driven the bus, but Amber was the one who filled up the gas tank, so both of them deserve joint custody of the MVP title belt. I would like to take a second to highlight Brock's official art from Pokemon Red and Blue. Oh, and Brock also had a pretty rock-solid team in Crystal Legacy. Get it? Because he specializes in Brock-type Pokemon, so by referencing it using similar-sounding terms, it creates an effect intended to be observed as humor. Yeah, this fight was nothing special. Iolite, Fluorite, and Lapis took turns smashing Brock's rocks into a bajillion pieces. Lapis in particular landed some clutch critical hits, so I'll let her hold on to the belt for now. I'm moving quickly here because I'd like to move on to our penultimate Kanto Gym battle. A very interesting one to discuss. In In my humble opinion, Blaine received the biggest glow up between vanilla Pokemon Crystal and Crystal Legacy. Not design wise though, it's hard to improve upon Old Man Aura this immaculate. I mean in terms of his team. What was once a hodgepodge of underleveled, underwhelming fire types is now a formidable group trained to do battle under the sun, as half of Blaine's Pokemon now know Sunny Day. That's why I decided to bring nearly every water type at my disposal along for this gym battle and equip each of them with Rain Dance. It's a weather war, baby, and the best way to wage a war is to prevent it from even starting. Blaine's lead Rapidash was designed to move first and use Sunny Day, but Diasper outsped and one-shot the horse before that could happen. That invited in Blaine's Moltres. Just like with Lance, Blaine was asked by Red to take care of the legendary bird in his steed. Wait, what did he just say about my mom? But since Moltres sees a grass-weak Dugtrio sitting across from it, it chose to charge up a Solar Beam, allowing Diasper to tag out for Titanite for free. And our eternally great electric type proceeded to clip Moltres' wings with a single Thunderbolt. That is now 2 legendary birds that Titanite has dispatched. He then gets up a quick light screen before his counterpart Magmar confuses him, necessitating a switch to... Listen, it's not often I get to use a legendary Pokemon, so why not do so against a guy who is also using a legendary? Plus, it allows me to prevent Morganite from potentially walking away with the MVP title belt after this fight, which is something I don't know if my ego can handle. Anyway, Magmar missed Fire Blast as Suicune switched in. Turquoise then set up Rain Dance, which Magmar can't do much about because it's one of Blaine's few Pokemon who doesn't know Sunny Day. Magmar instead used Confuse Ray, but Turquoise's held Miracle Berry nullified that, and as a result, Turquoise was free to go on a killing spree, slaying Magmar, Houndoom, and Ninetales with 1 Hydro Pump each. And although Arcanine got off in extreme speed, Turquoise crit right back with Hydro Pump to net us our penultimate gym badge. Before I move on, there's still one more thing I'd like to talk about regarding this battle. See, I prepared a lot of contingency plans for this battle in case someone missed a 1-hit KO or some other random thing went wrong. One specific thing I did was make sure I had a bunch of Pokemon capable of setting up Rain, including Rain Dance Gengar. Nice Mega Blocks, Blue. Kanto's final gym leader is remarkably similar to his original Crystal iteration. Don't fix what ain't broke, I guess. But there is one key difference. Instead of Pidgeot, Blue now commands the last of the 3 legendary birds, Articuno. Articuno is also the last of the 3 legendary birds to get totally embarrassed by Titanite. Despite missing the 1-hit KO with Thunderbolt, Titanite was able to sidestep Articuno's Toxic and finish the deed the following turn. Machamp came in next and tried quaking the earth, but it failed against the airborne Garnet, who took to the skies, dodged a rock slide, and deleted Machamp off the face of the planet with a critical hit. Alakazam kept making Pinelite's fat blubber ripple with its mind, but Pinelite just leapt into the air and crashed his entire body weight upon his foe. Next up to bat, Gyarados, so Titanite swapped back in. Gyarados went for a double team however, letting it evade Titanite's Thunderbolt and connect with a strong body slam the following turn. Thankfully this is Titanite we're talking about, so he ended the commotion pretty quickly. Titanite stayed in to Ice Punch Executor in the stomach, and although he took a strong Psychic in response, Titanite had a Gold Berry waiting somewhere. He doesn't have pockets, so where did he store it? Executor had his own leftovers, but Titanite kept his hot streak going by delivering a KO via Fire Punch, then passed the honor of wrapping up our final gym battle to... Alright, Morganite, let's see if you can actually be reliable for once and get through a situation without bringing inconvenience upon yourself and everyone around you. Would you look at that? Morganite successfully does something for once, and that something is securing us our final gym badge. Thank goodness. Now we can talk to Professor Oak, have him tell us about Mount Silver, and... Oh, I do not like this edition. Don't get me wrong, I understand that fighting the Elite Four again makes sense lore-wise. After all, we did just earn 8 Kanto gym badges. It would serve the reason we'd have to fight Kanto's Elite Four and Champion. Plus, it's an opportunity for the designers to make even stronger and more diverse teams for Lance and company. But man, this is just too much Pokemon in one serving. The game's already gone on long enough. Why bloat it even further? It didn't help that this gameplay segment was recorded very late at night, which is probably why I reacted so negatively. Just as I thought I could go beat up Red and end the recording and finally go to sleep, Oak dropped another hour or so of gameplay on my head, and I'm being serious when my sincere reaction at that moment was, oh. So I hope you don't fault me for skimming over the Elite Four rematches. They were definitely harder than the initial Elite Four battles, but I'm not gonna go into detail on them because frankly, I didn't even keep any notes on any of these fights. Obsidian the Rhydon did perish during the Lance fight, but again, I don't care. Don't be shocked, I bet you didn't even remember Obsidian was a member of the team. I bet you don't even know who this is. That's right, it's Morganite, as seen from above. Get a job! With the Elite Four and Lance stuffed in a locker yet again, we are now dual champs of Johto and Kanto, meaning we're finally eligible to visit that place where Red is squatting. So with a not really all that heavy heart and a much heavier set of eyelids, I set off for the final stop on our journey, Mount Silver. I don't got any more flowery formal phrases to describe this. Let's just give the 13-year-old an atomic wedgie. Diasper the Dugtrio leads off our final battle by burying Red's Pikachu with a single Earthquake, luring in Venusaur, who has the exact kind of moveset that will allow our next Pokemon to get busy. Yep, we're going for another Amber setup plus Pinalite sweep. Venusaur's Giga Drain bounces off of Amber's head, and she quickly puts up a safeguard to prevent any sleep powder shenanigans. From there, Amber gets to work boosting her speed, but Venusaur lands 2 consecutive body slams that deal significant damage, with the second hit activating Amber's held Gold Berry. She restores a bit of HP, and then Amber spends one more turn setting up Light Screen, but before she can baton pass out, Venusaur lunges at her, leaving Amber hanging on by the very skin of her teeth. With one singular point of health remaining, Amber passes the baton over to Pinalite, who tanks a body slam from Venusaur as our safeguard finally subsides. Pinalite goes for Belly Drum to max out his attack, and Venusaur thankfully misses Sleep Powder, allowing Pinalite to hit the hay, return to full health, nullify another Sleep Powder because he's already asleep, and finally wake up using his held Miracle Berry. The stage is thus set for Pinalite to send this Hardcore Nuzlocke challenge into the history books. He one-shots Venusaur with Body Slam, pulling in Mewtwo's submission can't even half Pinalite's HP bar before he collects another one-hit KO. Then one-taps Red's own Snorlax and Charizard as well. Pinalite punctuates his sweep by disintegrating Blastoise with Hyper Beam, securing us the win over Red. But we are still not done yet, as Red recognizes our prowess and leaves behind Mewtwo for us to take on one-on-one. And I know exactly who's up to the task. Yeah, Mewtwo couldn't do anything against Morganite, who was intended to counter Mewtwo in the first place during the Red fight had Pinalite failed his sweep. This one-on-one showcase, however, really sealed things. Despite all he did wrong, Morganite ultimately did do a lot more right. So it should come as no surprise that the MVP title belt will finally, deservingly, end up going to everybody on the team for their combined contributions. This has been my Hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokémon Crystal Legacy. A poll will come up on the channel in the next few days where you can decide who the true MVP of the run is. Until then, they'll all be sharing the belt. Also remember to check out boot.dev using my link in the description to learn how to code the fun way. Okay, that's it. See y'all next year when I finally get around to Emerald Legacy. You know what? I've blown off Wade's calls long enough. Let's see what he has to say.